Yantiv. This is a candle. And this is a light bulb. If you're in the back of the room, you'll probably have to take my word for it. The candle as we know it was invented about 5,000 years ago. And despite the various shapes and sizes and colors it can come in, the technology of the candle has not changed dramatically in the 5,000 years since it was first invented. This, as you know, is a light bulb. While most people think the light bulb was invented by Thomas Edison, it was not. The light bulb was invented about 200 years ago in the early part of the 19th century. But it wasn't until Thomas Edison came along that he revolutionized the light bulb making industry and made it much more accessible, much more easy to come by. Now, of course, we have CFLs and LEDs that produce the same light while using much less energy. If we take a candle, a good candle, it provides on average barely 1/100th of the illumination of a single 100-watt light bulb. When you open your refrigerator door, for example, you summon forth more light than the total amount enjoyed by most households in the 18th century. Indeed, with such minimal light for most of history, the world was a dark place. When I read the news these days, I'm starting to feel that the world remains a very dark place. 1 year ago, we breathed a sigh of relief that Gaza had by and large ceased the fire upon Israel, and that somehow in the nick of time, we discovered the vast network of terrorist tunnels Hamas had created. Now we join our Israeli brothers and sisters in preparing to watch how a sanction-free Iran will behave, either in terms of pursuing conventional warfare, as funneled through Hezbollah, or in its continued march toward mastering nuclear technology. Or perhaps Iran will pursue paths of peace. Perhaps. In the Middle East, ISIS desires to bring us back more than 1,000 years in history, killing, maiming, and torturing to accomplish its nefarious goals. In the last year, we have seen the impact of those who wish to take advantage of children, from that which has happened locally, to the seemingly jovial and Jewish Jared Fogle, the subway pitchman who lost all that weight while eating sandwiches from the chain store. He pled guilty last month to severely abusing children. Perhaps among the most persistent of world crises to which most of us pay less attention than we should is human trafficking. This modern form of slavery affects nearly 1 million people each year, including 20,000 people in the US alone. The list goes on. War in Syria, the rise again of Taliban in Afghanistan, corruption throughout South America, disease and dictators in Africa, anti-Semitism and refugee problems in Europe, the plight of the poor and homeless everywhere. At home, we've watched race riots, school and movie theater shootings, and pollution and toxic chemical spills that destroy our waterways. Our synagogue, too, has experienced trying times. Darkness that is, thank God, beginning to fade. In the last 15 months, we have managed difficult transitions, overcome gossip and slander, and endured well-intentioned but difficult disagreements. I pray that today, at the start of this new year, we begin letting the proverbial tears water the seeds of our future successes. When we look upon the world today, from Israel to the United States to our very own backyard, it is so easy to succumb to the frustration and the fear, to the combativeness and the derision. Everywhere we turn, cynicism begets more cynicism, so that we're caught in a spiral of negativity. The mitzvah to light Shabbos candles is rabbinic in origin. It's found nowhere explicitly within the Torah. But we are commanded by the Torah to enjoy Shabbat, and our rabbis define this as a celebratory meal and engaging in meaningful time with family and friends. To achieve this kind of joy in the world 2,000 years before the invention of the light bulb, the rabbis ordained that one candle should be lit for each person in the household, which is why in the candle lighting bracha, blessing, we say, V'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat, in the singular, and not lahadlik neirot, in the plural. Of course, while one candle is the mitzvah, the custom has become to light at least 2 candles per household, and some light additional candles as well for children and grandchildren. The light of Shabbat brings joy. It brings peace. It brings a sense of spirituality. And it brings the light of the Shabbat candle, brings a sense of hope. Despite the darkness in the world and even the cynicism that some cast directly upon our great synagogue, I have felt recently a change of energy. I have seen a new spark of light. Our shul volunteers are going above and beyond to bolster our foundation. I would like to ask, please, our synagogue officers and board of trustees to stand. Synagogue officers and board of trustees, please rise. And while we're not going to applaud because it's Rosh Hashanah, I want to wish each of you a Yasher Koach. Here are men and women who give of themselves, quite literally day and night, to strengthen our great synagogue. Please remain standing for another moment, if you will. Will synagogue past presidents, as well as past presidents of our sisterhood and men's club, please rise. Will volunteers on our various committees, including young adult, youth and education, ritual, sports club, Kugel mavens, Shabbat lunch volunteers, empty nesters, and other committees, please rise. Will members of our sisterhood and men's club please rise? Will those who donate to the Jewish Federation, those who volunteer for Federation agencies, and those who support AIPAC, ZOA, and AJC, please rise. Yasher Koach, and thank you to all of you. We are all made holier by your dedication, your love, your sacrifice, and your passion for Judaism. And there is an incredible group of leaders around this room, and this is among the aspects of what makes Shaare Tzedek unique in Metro Detroit. Indeed, there is a rekindled flame rising from this sacred community. Allow me to give you some examples. At our summer Tot Shabbat services, for families with preschool-aged children, we had 75, then 150, then 200 people respectively. Every Thursday morning, we host scores of little kids and their parents or grandparents as well. Our Shabbat service morning attendance is actually growing. I'll say it again. Shabbat service attendance is growing. Our adult education classes inaugurated this summer at the new Berman Center for Jewish Education are teeming with learners of all ages. And on your way in, you receive the brochure of more experiences to come. Our religious school is bringing in new families. We make up the highest percentage of synagogue representation in the day schools, and our families are increasingly choosing to send their kids to Jewish camp. Our world-famous Chazan was just selected by Forward as one of 21 Jewish voices that move us, and that is just among many of his incredible accomplishments. This past summer, we celebrated our assistant cantor marking 15 years with our synagogue, inspiring us with his passion for Judaism, amazing us with the speed of his davening, and comforting us. It's true. And comforting us with his commitment to caring for so many in need. For some reason now too, and I'm honored by this incredible kindness, people are sharing my sermons and speeches virally around the internet. And I just want to take this moment to say thank you for the incredible blessing and honor of being your rabbi, of sharing in this journey with you. What an amazing congregation this is, made up by truly special people. We have a unique history, and I'm proud to tell you, we have a very bright future. Together, in about a week and a half, we'll host the first Erase Hunger 5K run or walk and family fun run, along with the Sukkot Carnival. Through Erase Hunger, we have raised thousands of dollars for Yad Ezra, our kosher food pantry. And just as important, the Berman Center for Jewish Education is helping us bring to life our vision of a synagogue dedicated to individual inspiration and communal transformation. Our community has begun to brighten this very dark world. But the Talmud teaches that not only is it a commandment to kindle the Shabbat flame, but if every Jew were to light Shabbat candles on the same Friday night, the Messiah would come. And if every Jew were to light Shabbat candles 2 weeks in a row, redemption would come instantaneously. Light bulbs illuminate, but candles ignite. And Congregation Sha'ar Tzedek is on its way to becoming the sacred flame that not only lights up this dark world, but brings warmth and spirit to it as well. Nearly a year ago, we spoke about the three qualities to the meaning of life. Perhaps you remember: gratitude, obligation, and joy. Well, in 12 very fast months, our call for individual gratitude, obligation, and joy is being realized in our community's call for inspiration and transformation. The business of our sacred synagogue is to touch lives, and I'm excited to tell you that business is booming. But in order to turn that spark into a flame, I need your help. Inspiration does not just occur. So here is my first request of you. In this new year, commit to the simple act of lighting Shabbat candles, and thereby to actively bring light into this dark world. And if you already light Shabbos candles, good for you. Light an additional one for our unaffiliated Jewish brothers and sisters among us. But even before you commit to the whole year, just light Shabbat candles once. This coming Friday night, the first Friday night of the new year. Lighting Shabbat candles, however, is the beginning, not the end. Inspiration must lead to transformation. I will make you or goyim, a light unto the nations, God challenged Isaiah thousands of years ago, so that my salvation may reach to the end of the earth. God challenges us with this as well, to be or goyim, a light unto the nations. When you see the Shabbat candles, I ask you to let it remind you of our divine obligation to strengthen the Jewish people and to bring tikkun, healing, to this broken world. The Shabbat candles must serve as our personal inspiration to help those in need. They must transform our community so that as a united people, we seek then to bring nothing less than world peace. Our steps toward tikkun olam, repair of the world, can and must be a light unto all the nations of the world. As a congregation, I'm proud of our commitment to Jewish learning. As a family of leaders, I'm also proud that through our programming and through the beginning of our organizational changes, we are resuming our historic place as visionary leaders among the broader Jewish community. Moreover, as a shul, we're working ever harder to advocate for social change, for deeper religious practice, and to speak out for justice and fairness. In addition, and most needed at this time, in recent months, our great synagogue has resumed its place as an outspoken defender of the state of Israel, proclaiming to all that Israel has a right to exist as a free Jewish nation in peace and security. At Congregation Sha'ar Tzedek, we believe that God has expectations of us, and we must strive to live up to those expectations. CSZ members of every age and background can expect to learn with depth, to find inspiration through worship, and to be part of an inclusive community devoted to transforming the world through social justice within and beyond our walls. The story is told of a husband and wife who were deeply saddened and frustrated by what they saw in the world. And so it happened to be that one Friday night, they stood together The wife lit 1 Shabbat candle, then 2. She lit 3 and 4 for her children as well. She brought the light into her. She covered her eyes. And she said the bracha, Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. And as she said that bracha, the tears streamed down her face as she prayed to God to ask for help for our broken world. Her husband, moved by this act of prayer and passion, decided he was going to call out to God, but unlike his wife who said so in a prayer barely audible, the husband called out to God and said, God, we live in a very dark, broken world. Please, aren't you going to send somebody to help us? Please send someone, God, to help repair our world. Thunder crashed and lightning flashed, and all of a sudden a noise came from the heavens. And God declared to the husband and wife, I did send someone to save the world. I sent you. On your way out the door, each family will receive 1 Shabbat candle. I ask you, bring light into the world by lighting it this coming Friday night, the first Shabbat candle of the new year. However, you're only getting 1 candle. It's up to you to add a second, a third, or a fourth. And when you bring light into the dark world and ask God to bless your family, I ask you to remember all those who do not have a beautiful home in which to celebrate Shabbat. Remember all those whose stomachs are empty. Remember all those who suffer from war and oppression. Remember our promised land of Israel. Remember that the role of the Jew and the mission of Congregation Shaare Tzedek is to bring light to this very dark world. And after Shabbat is concluded and that candle has long since burned out, I ask you, I beg you, remember the mitzvot to which we are now bound, judged, to take additional steps in our Jewish journey, to work ever harder to strengthen our sacred community of Congregation Shaare Tzedek, and to reach out to all who are in need. God sent you. This is a light bulb, and an entire room. And this is a candle. It is infinitely stronger than a light bulb, because when we light candles on Shabbat Eve, redemption could very possibly come. But this, my friends, this is a Kehillah Kedoshah, a sacred community with a renewed energy and unmatched power that when it partners together in the mission of our synagogue to achieve inspiration through Jewish ritual and transformation through reaching out to all those in need, we will bring light to this very dark world. Friends, this is what God wants of us. And today begins our renewed commitment to accomplish that task. On this Rosh Hashanah 5776, may God bless the work of our hands and the spirit of our hearts, that we might achieve inspiration and transformation. May God empower us to fulfill our mission of bringing light to this dark world. And finally, may God bless this incredible community that is Congregation Shaare Tzedek, with peace and with passion, with vision and with volunteers, and may all of its members know health and happiness, gratitude, obligation, and joy. And let us say together, Amen.